and welcome everyone to the Mobility Mindset with Trucks and Robotics. We created this space to bring together families, medical experts, and advocates, and anyone with an interest in or a tie to pediatric disabilities. Together, we will dive into important conversations about disability, inclusion, and the journey of parenting a child with disabilities. At Trucks and Robotics, we believe that everyone who wants to walk should have the opportunity to do so. The Mobility Mindset is here to offer real, heartfelt conversations and share resources that support and empower those navigating these experiences. With that, I'd like to welcome you personally, Sara here from Trucks and Robotics, and my co-host Marc from Sales.
Hey, how's it going?
Effie Parks is a well-known podcaster herself with multiple shows under her belt, as well as she has been recognized, as I saw, for many awards for her podcast shows and walks the walk of advocating for rare disease and has a personal note within her own story. So please, let's welcome Effie Parks. Thanks for joining us today, Effie.
I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so excited for your new podcast. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, as another mother of a child with special needs, welcome to our little club here. We brought you onto the show today because we wanted to highlight something that's happening this month, and we're kind of hoping you could give us, I don't even know how to say it, the whole spiel. Basically, I've got a son, Mitchell, he's got a rare genetic disease. Sarah's got a son, Kenny, he's got rare stuff going on as well. And you have a son named Ford. And we were hoping that you could tell us a little bit about your experience with Ford and his rare disease.
Sure. So my son Ford is 8 now, which is just bananas. It seems like forever and also like a blink. He's so beautiful and funny. He has a rare genetic disorder also called CTNNB1 that affects all aspects of his growth and development and mobility and communication. He is a wild man in his wheelchair. Anytime he can go fast or be dangerous, that is definitely his joy. Like, it is just like the best part of Ford to hear him cackle. If you've ever listened to Once Upon a Gene podcast, you'll hear him at the end of the show, and he still laughs like that almost every single day. Ford was diagnosed at 16 months old, born very sick though, and we knew something was wrong. Like many parents, I went down a rabbit hole reading medical literature and trying to find out what was wrong. I was terrified. It was a cold and clinical time of our life that's also just such a blur. The life I knew that I thought I was going to have was like on fire. And it was really, really traumatic. It was very isolating. And I got to this point where I just knew that there had to be something more. There had to be hope. There had to be connection. There had to be proof that this fictional idea of what I thought it was going to be could also be rich and meaningful. Because being his mom, like even in the beginning, had already reshaped everything that I thought I knew about strength and resilience and love. Man, and it taught me so much, and it teaches me so much every day that it's not just or only about finding a treatment or finding a cure, but it's about making every single day better and celebrating the awesomeness that he does have and that he does achieve. The community that I have found since having Ford is one that I cherish deeply.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like a very similar experience. I think Sara can probably relate to that as well. When you feel like your expectations of what life was supposed to be erupt on fire.
Especially if it's your first child. If I remember correctly, Ford was Ford your first child?
Yeah.
Yeah. All of us, we're so excited. Everyone's like, yeah, you plan for absolutely everything. And never in your wildest dreams do you expect the whammy. And you just get handed the card. And we all deal with it differently. We all take it and run with it the way we need to run with it. Our family, friends that aren't in this community don't have even the remote perspective of what we go through on the daily. We put the face on and we grind and wake up every day for our kids. But, some days it's just not as easy as we think. And it's important to recognize that. And I'm letting you know that I recognize you, Effie, because I get it. I mean, Marc gets it. We all get it. I mean, both of our kids, are at home right now with us. Yeah, we stop momentarily throughout all of our work days and have to attend to our kids. It's something we do every day.
For me, anyway, it was a big readjust of priorities and a big readjust of kind of everything. Your expectations. You change where your bar is at. You change all the things. It's coming to terms with where that bar is going to be. That, for me, was one of the hardest things. But that's just something to deal with. And you got to suck it up and keep moving on. As far as I can tell, it's the best way to keep doing it. Like, that part of it's not going to change. You just have to overcome it.
Yeah, and I think too, with that adjusting and that constant turnover of everything that you also get to dive so, so, so deep where I honestly believe that you probably never would have gotten to before, to realize that there's so much good and so much depth of joy that you can find in this life. And in that sort of, making the world really small and being in it more. I think that I'm not sure that I would have felt so much profound love and connection had I not had Ford. I think I would have been great and we would have had a wonderful life and everything would have been fabulous. But I don't think I could have really, really dug in.
Great way to put it.
Seriously, because you get so in tune with everything. I would never change it, just to have the gravitation that he brings to me of love and just makes me yearn for him every day is just fabulous, and I look forward to it every day. Let's get back to really what's your niche, and I really want to know about Rare Disease Day, because I want you to educate me and our fans that are watching today about what are your plans, and tell me what Rare Disease Day means to you as well.
Sure. So I'll just start with the basic. Rare Disease Day is always held on the very last day of February. It's called the rarest day of the year because, as you know, every 4 years there's the 29th of February. Obviously, this year it's being celebrated on February 28th. So it is a global day. It's not just a day of awareness here in the US. It's a global day where everyone can come together and raise awareness and share stories and push for better research and better policies and better lives. There's over 300 million people who are living with rare diseases. It's actually not rare. And Rare Disease Day it's full. It's so much more than just about raising awareness, right? It's about recognition, and it's about being together, and it's about making sure that families like ours are not forgotten, and that these kids aren't just statistics. They're not just things in a medical journal. They're people who deserve care and support and a future. And another thing that Rare Disease Day for me is storytelling. As you know, Once Upon a Gene was sort of birthed from that idea. And it's a reminder that every single person's voice matters. And I think that when we speak up, if we can speak up, whether physically or capacity level or whatever it is, when we share our experience, we change the world. And I think we change the way people see us. I think we change the way people see disability. I think we change the way doctors come into their clinic and care for their patients. I think we shift conversations from pity to possibility. And I think that you can grab someone by telling your story from across the world who doesn't even know they need it and change their life. So I think that's something that's really special about Rare Disease Day, is it is magnetic and it is electric. And thank goodness for social media, because you can catch it anywhere and it's unstoppable. And I've seen it infuse people who haven't really ever been involved, who felt like, oh my gosh, these are my people. I can do this. And I just think that it helps people feel less alone, and that they have somewhere that they can go, even if they're just watching for that support and consuming it, if that's what they need. I think it's a great offering in so many ways, and it's just such an awesome day of the year.
Fantastic. Are you going to be doing anything special on that day?
Yes, every year I do something a little different. This year I'm heading down to San Diego, California with my friend Gay Grossman, who also has a daughter with a rare disorder called ADCY5. And we were chit-chatting about Rare Disease Day this year, and we were like, let's do it on the beach in San Diego. I was definitely for that idea because I live in Seattle, so there's not a lot of light here this time of year.
Mhm.
Also, I just miss her, and I was looking for something different and fresh to do. And there's such a cool community down there with so much biotech and so many families that I haven't got to meet in person yet. So we are renting out a room in a restaurant called the Brigantine Portside. It's in downtown San Diego. Tickets are available. I'll give the link to you all so you can check it out. And we're going to have food and drinks and a photo booth and some music. And we're going to have a bunch of community members. We're going to have someone share their story. We're going to have some resources available. And we're going to have some storytelling little bits recorded. And we're just really excited to get together and just celebrate being together, like actually in person. So if you're in the area or if you're feeling a little frisky, click the link in the show notes here or find them on my website or message me and get a ticket to our event. Gonna be awesome.
That
Nice.
sounds amazing. I really wish I could make my butt down to San Diego.
Right? Get out
Honestly.
of the snow.
Yeah. So for families like myself who aren't able to make it to San Diego, is there any other way that we're able to get involved and help out?
I mean, there's so many rare disease events across the world. So definitely check out rarediseaseday.org and also library.com. That's LIBRIRAREY, library. There's a calendar on there and there's rare disease events. There's lots of virtual ones, so if you can't leave for whatever reason, you can join lots of different webinars. There's lots of things. Choose it like a cafeteria. There'll be webinars on policy. There'll be webinars on research. There'll be webinars on support. There's just a plethora of ideas that people have on Rare Disease Day, and you can join things for free online, obviously. Even check if there's locations local that are having parties. Nord.org also has a calendar where people have submitted their Rare Disease Day events. So you can go see if there's something close there or online. For us, just, if you see us posting on social media, please comment and share so we can get the word out. It's going to be fun. And I love seeing people just celebrating anyways online when they can't be there. It's really special.
Yeah, I found you have to kind of make the reasons to celebrate sometimes, and they're awesome because you can really make your own thing that nobody else has ever done before. For my son, like we did the Trexel for a while, but when he hit 1,000,000 steps, we had a band, we had balloons, then all the neighbors came out. It was amazing. But like, it's those times where you can really kind of get everybody in the community involved and celebrate that. Like, it just normalizes everything and makes everybody happy.
Yeah, it normalizes everything. And again, continuously reminds you that you're not alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Why does the community, the special needs community, have to be different? Why do we have to be constantly putting the word out and keep educating? Like, there's nothing different than any other child out there. I mean, we can go on and on. Why do we have to do this? But we do. And it's unfortunate, but there should be inclusion every which way to Sunday.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta fight your way in. It's not necessarily set up for wheelchair access and such, but you just gotta push around a little bit, and then sometimes you can kind of make things happen on your own. Yeah.
Part of this advocacy too, right? It's not just doing it ourselves and raising awareness and, sticking up for our kids and disability and rare disease. One of the big points about that people need to remember is that it's not just you that has to do it. It's not just your job. Part of it is really inspiring those outer rings, right? And those community members that aren't necessarily, quote unquote, in your world, but to help them also recognize that, oh, this is a cause to be championed. This is a cause that needs attention. So while you're raising awareness, you're not just doing it for your crew. You're doing it to help educate everyone else who doesn't necessarily know and who needs to put a little more of a spotlight on that and help us, right? We got to rally the troops outside of people like us.
Eggs.
We didn't even talk about, you mentioned it, your podcast, Once Upon a Gene. How did it start? When did it start? And why did you start it?
100 reasons. Once Upon a Gene, I started it because I was desperate for stories like mine. I wanted to hear from parents who weren't just surviving. I wanted to talk to parents who were living and finding meaning and going through all of these changes. And I was isolated and I felt alone and I didn't know what I was doing. It was hard. Believe it or not, I mean, with how social media is now. When Ford was born and diagnosed, there was not a lot going on. And maybe I wasn't following them yet because I wasn't there, but like I didn't see parents on Instagram posting their daily life. I didn't see someone changing a feeding tube because I sat on YouTube for 25 days trying to find a way to do it. Like nobody was educating each other. No families like weren't talking like this yet. Maybe a lot of kids weren't diagnosed yet. I mean, because genetic testing has changed so fast, but like there weren't podcasts on it. It was a couple that I found. One that I always shout out, the Two Disabled Dudes podcasts. My friends Sean and Kyle host that. They live with Friedrich's ataxia, and I found their podcast one day when I was searching all the buzzwords, disability, rare disease, and I found them. And I listened to their whole library and I laughed and I cried and I was like, holy cow, these are my people. Oh my gosh, I have finally found them. It wasn't overly religious. It wasn't overly depressing. It wasn't poor me. It wasn't anything like that. It was hopeful and loving and real and authentic. And I messaged them and I was like, I know you guys don't know me, but you're my friends. I've been listening to you now for lots of hours. You're stuck with me, and thank you for everything that you did. You took a huge burden off of me, and now I'm going to go start a podcast and do that for someone else. And so really it started the moment I found them, and they completely opened up every part of me and just made me choose to see this differently, choose to wake up differently. And yeah, Once Upon a Gene was born, and the second that it started, took fire because it was the first podcast like it for parents. And I believe that there's so much power in everyone's story, right? And I think that so many people saw their lives in it. And I'm just so grateful that I get to still do it. I'm so proud of Once Upon a Gene, and I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that has brought me and my family and community members around me. I mean, it's helped people start foundations. It's helped people create playgrounds. It's helped people advocate at the doctors, like you name it. I mean, I get thousands of messages, and it's phenomenal to know what a medium like podcasting can do for people like us.
Man, I'm ready to ball. I'm just like,
Inspiring.
it is. Ah, I'm like, love you. You're just like, you're
No.
my person. Happy
Oh
you're
my
my
gosh.
person.
It's really amazing, right? You just realize that you can overcome things, and you can also just feel like crap about things and not feel bad about it, but also think, what else, right? I just think there's so much education and connection in stories like this, and in a medium that's really digestible for parents like us, right? Like people are always like, oh, do you watch this? Do you watch this? Do you watch that? I'm like, absolutely not. When would I sit down and watch anything?
Who has time for that?
I have a headphone, I have an earbud in, or I'm in my car, or I'm in a waiting room, or whatever. I can listen to something and I can assume these things at my own pace that works for my life. And I can go back to it as many times as I need to, or I can turn it off. Especially when you're feeling so horrible and everything is awful and you're in the trenches, you can just be a taker in this world. You can just listen to all these stories and fill up your heart and not have to give anything back to anyone. And that, I think, is one of the most healing parts for the parents who are in the thick of it, is because you don't have to be available for anyone. You don't have to send a thank you card. You don't have to let them know you appreciate it. You don't have to do anything. You can just take it and take it and take it. And that is what I think a lot of us need in the beginning. And that's what I did with Sean and Kyle. I just would go on walks and listen to them. And I was like healed a little, you know?
No, you're giving perspective. It's nice. It's really nice, actually.
Not to make this a guy-girl thing, dad. You don't see a lot of men really sharing the story. You don't hear the fathers, and that's one thing I really like Marc and I being able to do this, that we're both parents and that we both can share our stories. You know, men aren't mushy, men aren't in touch with all that, but I'll tell you right now, Marc is on point all day long and is present with everything. And I love that he was willing to do this and wanted to do this and is just so involved within work, within community, within Mitch's life every day, all day. But you don't hear it from a dad's perspective. And, you know, I'm glad the more fathers that come out and speak, I think will help those other fathers that are scared to death, because guys don't want to look weak. And I'm proud of our fathers I'm proud of you, Marc, too, for sharing, because We need that.
It resonates with me, and to be honest, more as like as a host, because what you were just saying drove home the reason why this is valid, as far as I'm concerned. Because you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for people that are in the trenches, as you say. And it took me a little bit to wrap my head around it, but obviously we've all been in the trenches. We know what it's like. I don't know. It's hard for me personally to think that people actually want to hear my experience. But then I've had a couple of conversations with people this week who actually listened to the last one. Like I gave them a space to breathe. I don't know how to describe it, but it's the purpose.
Yeah, there's a lot of research around community service. And that's how I look at Once Upon a Gene is as a community service. Because not only does this community service fill up my heart and fill up my cup and heal my wounds, but it helps other people as well, right? And so it just makes this beautiful circle, and turning that pain into purpose to make this place better than how you found it is what we should all be trying to do in one way or another, right? And it can be the quietest way or the loudest way. Nothing has a hierarchy when you're trying to leave something for someone else.
That's the nail on the head. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Just like mic drop. Shh.
Yeah,
Oh my
basically.
gosh. Effie,
Okay.
I wanted to ask you, I kind of peeked at your website. So tell me about your merch. What do you sell? What do I want to buy?
We need to nurture that. I don't really know what I'm doing exactly all the time.
Hey, working
Yeah,
progress. Good. Under
there's
construction.
some merch on there. There's some Once Upon a Gene stuff on there, from sweaters to whatever, hats, and there's a hospital hair don't care merch line. There's a dadvocate line. Dude, the website stuff is hard for me, so it's not my love language. I work on it when I can.
You and Mark
That's a
can
great
hang
way to
out,
put
and me
that too.
too. We laugh all the time. This is the ongoing joke at work. Sarah, Mark, you guys work at a tent company. I said, and?
I know, it's so hard.
Yeah. I couldn't use Windows 5 years ago.
I know, it's hard. Everyone's like, well, you have a podcast. I'm like, I just talk to my friends. I just talk
Yeah.
to people who are awesome. Way better than coding.
Thank God that
Absolutely.
they've made so many easy platforms. Like now you just hit the record button, did a little whoop whoop, and boom, you can upload and call it a day and look good. I'm all about that easy stuff.
Hey, man, I love podcasting. It's the best
I
thing
know.
that ever happened.
I'm with you. We all have more things in common just than our children. It's okay to talk about other things too, and that we are still who we are before children, before life and stuff. And it's important to remember who you are as a human being, as a mom, as Effie Parks, as Sara Valenzuela, as Marc Roberts. It's important to remember who you are.
100%. Sarah, I just gave a talk to a conference, and the talk was titled Remember Who You Are.
Wow.
Yeah. And 99.9% of parents like us forget. And they don't just forget, but they feel guilty if they even think about that person. And then they feel that they aren't even allowed to look at that person, or they're a bad parent, or they're this or they're that. And it just couldn't be further from the truth, right? You as a human, as a soul, as a provider, as a caregiver, as a person who has relationships, you're the most important person. And to be able to do all of those amazing Herculean things in the day that you do, you have to remember who you are.
I'm glad you did that talk. I'll have this chat with my son's doctors. And we get off topic, and I just say, how often do you guys ask the mom and dads, how are you guys doing? And I explain, we're not okay. You're sending us home with our kids. We're the ones to take care of our kids. Y'all need to check in with our parent. Double check with them. Just like, hey, you okay? You good? You need anything? I'm going off topic, but it's like, where is the person to make sure we're mentally okay? Because no one talks about that, and it pisses me off. Because, no, some days I'm not okay. I need a little love, too. Golly, double check on our parents.
Yeah, that's why we're on podcasts. That's why we're making it. We're doing it because nobody's taking care of it for us, which I think is also like a big, like, shock, right? Not only is nobody working on the disease your kid has that you find out because you just expect people are helping my kid, right? Because he's sick. No. And then you think, oh, well, there's things in place to help us. No. Like you just like see all the barren land once all of this happens. You're shook. And you either have to pick up a sword and start fighting, or you're going to be in a dark, cold, isolated place for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, I remember I was in both of those places. I have been in both of those spots. The latter is not a fun one. And it's a lot of work to get out of that spot. But yeah, there's not a whole heck of a lot of help to do it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think we make the best help for us, for each other anyways. Like, how many things that are made for you actually are something that you asked for or need or want? Meh, I don't know. Everything that I've found that are made for me or work for me or resonate with me are done by other parents like me or family members like me. It isn't from a system. It isn't from,
No.
a pamphlet. It's actual human connection.
Well, thank God for podcasts. Thank God for pages that parents are creating in that space to pass along information, because just like you said, some parents, we're not equipped to just be handy or think outside the box. I mean, I'm sure we could talk for hours about multitude of things that layer on layer, insurance, and, not having the funds and having to make our own stuff. Thank God for other parents that have an inventive mind. I can only I'll get a wheelchair in 5 years. You can't get a stroller, you can't get a stander, and you have other parents creating, like, here, look what I made. Wow, dang, you're pretty, you're pretty crafty. It's crazy that you have to do that, but you have to figure it out. And thank God for other parents sharing.
Like Effie was saying, if you're waiting for the powers that be to make these things and do these things for you, they're not going to. You have to do it yourself or follow the path of somebody that has done it. But at least now we have a forum where we can communicate and find that person who's done it before. 10 years ago when I was doing it, I don't recall having this same opportunity. I wasn't listening to anybody. I was in a dark spot, and but this would have been, I hope, beneficial.
Yeah, it's like Mr. Rogers says, find the helpers, right? And when you're talking about parents making things, shameless shout out for my friend Ashley Hammock. She has a company called Wishwear, and she can make literally anything, and it's cute. I've called her 100 times and I'm like, I need a rain poncho for Ford. He has to sit there for like 10 minutes in the pouring Seattle rain to get on and off the bus. And she whips me off this perfect rain poncho that like Velcros on him and has a hood, and he can sit in there and get on the wheelchair and get in there. I mean, just like endless things. She's made me long, soft, super packable diaper changing things for when I'm out in public and I have to put them on the ground somewhere. Like, she's doing such an amazing service for our community, because you can't buy 90% of these things. And if you do, we all know nothing is less than $400. So she's really doing an awesome service by making customized things for our beautiful kids to help our lives be better.
What's her website? Do you know it offhand? Cool. Let's plug her. Good God.
Yeah, Wishwear Accessories.
Oh my gosh, love her. Oh
I know, God. She's the best. She's the happiest, brightest soul ever. Yeah, wishwear.com.
Well, I think we need to wrap up a bit. So, Effie, in our closing here, what do you want to leave our listeners today with about Rare Disease Day, or anything about your podcast that you'd like to share that would be something important that you want to convey to the audience today?
I would really just encourage you to connect. Base level. Like, if that's all you have the capacity to do, learn, listen, whatever, then just listen to a podcast. Like, that is connection. And if that's all you can do right now, that's great. Do that, because you're still going to be filling up your soul and filling up your cup, which is going to make something a little better for you. Ways to get involved if you want to. Really just like poke around, but most importantly, listen to your gut. I think your gut is going to tell you where you really want to focus your energy, whether it's local, maybe it's at your school, your playgrounds. Maybe you want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to write a blog. Maybe you want to go do policy work and like help get bills passed. Maybe you want to start a foundation. There's so many avenues. And I really encourage you to just kind of think about it, because I think you already know the answer of something that's making you warm. But I would most importantly harp on the connection piece. Find even one person from the internet, probably. If you can find them in person, awesome. But find that one person that you can talk to when you need to, that you can text at 2 a.m., who doesn't even need to like do anything for you, but be there and listen. They don't have to offer advice, or maybe they do. Find that one person, because we all know that when you're feeling completely alone and that literally no one understands, it's like the worst feeling in the world. So I would say do that. And I would also say there's such a beautiful, glorious community here, and that all of us will take any of you in. Just find us, and I think that you might be surprised how much energy and resilience that you'll find in yourself when you decide to make a connection.
Oh my gosh, that's well
Yeah.
said. Absolutely.
You've done this before.
So much. I mean, I'm never going to stop. Like, I don't think I think that we're meant to be together. I think that we're meant to tell each other stories. I think that we're meant to revive each other, especially in this world. So, grab a hold.
It's a
Grab a
very,
hold.
very good way to do it.
Well, I'm
That's
going
a
to
very
close
nice way
with
to
giving
say
a
it.
shout out to my person. Thanks, Christina. Love you for being my girl. Effie, who's your person go to? Shout out to
Oh my God. Absolutely not. Will not say that. There are like 1,000. I cannot. Every single person who's loved and supported me from Once Upon a Gene and my amazing family. Like, just cannot. And you guys, are you kidding me? Trexo has been a part of my life for years in one way or another, right? Like, I traveled to LA just so Ford could get in a Trex, and then sort of made friends with your team through email and just being online. You guys have sponsored events that I've done, and I'm so grateful for you. I plug you anywhere I can. I'm so grateful that you exist. Like, there is immeasurable how many people that have touched me.
I wish we didn't have to leave. Dang.
Well, you guys have so many amazing podcast episodes to make, so keep it up and let me know if you ever need any suggestions, because I know all the best people.
Oh my
We will
God.
definitely be having you back. You're our first guest. Are you kidding?
I am? I thought there was another guest already.
No, you're our first guest.
Oh, hey. Wow, you guys are so nice. That's so awesome.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks again for joining us, and everyone out there. We really appreciate you joining us. And if you are on your journey out there, we're here for you. Even if you don't know us, reach out to us. Believe me, we would be here for you. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks, Effie. We appreciate you.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Good time.